Friday night. Welcome to Carcone Carne. I'm James Van Ostel, and it looks like things are opening back up again. A few more virtual shows, then it's back to in-person recording for Carcone Carne. That's going to happen in mid-March with a special trip, a very special episode to the Wiener Circle. So Carcone Carne is free. Obviously, it's a podcast. It's free. We're about to start the 9th year of this podcast in a couple months. If you would like to support the show, my favorite way is to become a sponsor. I like finding partners who are in this together with me. So if you have a business, small, medium, or large, let's talk. Or you can simply buy a shirt from the navigation of carconcarne.com or throw some stars up on one of the Facebook videos. Or don't. Honestly, I'm just glad to know you're here with me. Like I said, going on 9 years. This is episode 708. And this episode is being recorded on Friday, February 25th. If you're listening or if you're watching before tomorrow night, the 26th, my guest for tonight will be performing at the Hideout. She is singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist Teri Bracken. The band's equal parts Americana and pop. I love them. They're Bronte Fall. Teri Bracken is here.
Hello. And it's so funny too that you said there's no such thing as long answers, because I feel like I tend to talk a lot.
Which is good. You're on a podcast. You'll be right at home. So Bronte Fall, full band performance. We're recording this on Friday the 25th. Tomorrow, the 26th, the Saturday night at the Hideout. It is the full band. Colin Peterick also on the bill. Insanely talented gentleman, Colin Peterick. That's a night of music right there.
Yes.
And Teri, tickets are $12. They're a value at any price, really.
What do you mean by that? What is...
Like, I'm saying it's worth your money to go see.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I know your Chicago roots are deep. You're a Nashville citizen, but your Chicago roots are deep. What goes through your head when you come back to perform and play at a place like Hideout?
Well, it's so special right now because, like, especially special because, we just had a 2-year shutdown of live music. And I know that the Hideout was closed for a really long time, but also because I worked at the Hideout and I was the door girl and I worked so many shows there. And I always wanted a Saturday night slot at the Hideout. And actually when I was working there, I was working for the booker and he gave me my first Bronte Fall gig. I told him I started a band with my friend. We didn't have a name. We had a few songs and that's it. We didn't have a bio. We didn't have pictures. And I was writing the Hideout's newsletter every week for 2 years. And he was like, well, do you want to play here? It's like, yeah. I was like, for sure. And he's like, send me a bio and send me some pics. And I didn't even have a band name. So I with my friend, we took a week and we sat at a cafe in Lincoln Park and figured out the name. And then we quickly scheduled pictures and quickly wrote a bio. It was so fast. And I had a 5:00 spot on a Friday, which was great.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And this is just going to be, and I just love the Hideout community. I love the Chicago music scene, and to have a Saturday night slot at the Hideout is just, I'm so excited.
It's going to be awesome. Now, I don't want people who are listening or watching after the fact to feel excluded. The good news is if they miss you at Hideout, you've got new music coming on March 4th. There are many ways to consume Bronte Fall. Winter comes out on the 4th. It is your 3rd studio album. Mm-hmm. One thing I'm keenly aware of out of the gate with your music, you have a great sense of visuals of how to transform your music into video. And I was just having this conversation yesterday. I keep waiting for a music video renaissance. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet, especially with things being shut down for 2 years. Video, you figured it out. Talk to me about having a video strategy.
Well, I have a great little tiny team in Nashville. Again, sorry for long answers, but I met a girl when I was recording my last EP, my last project. I met a girl, she was finishing up in the studio right before me, and we started following each other on Instagram. And I noticed that she was on a lot of video shoots, and she's a singer-songwriter herself. So I reached out to her to be like, can you help me make a music video? And And so she was really good at conceptualizing music videos. She had a lot of experience with music videos. And so with her, it was just like really fun to create worlds. Like I think the pre-work is the most important, and like making Pinterest boards and coming up with a storyline. And it really is fun to create like a whole world with one song. And even these music videos really created, like, they are the base, the foundation for winter and like the whole vibe, because we went in, we hired this videographer, but like I was dressed for the photo shoot and for the music videos, like all in one. So like, so it was all planned around the visuals of the music video. And sort of this, like, the one that just came out is like my favorite, the Beyond the Rain, kind of like a Wizard of Oz meets Alice in Wonderland. And it just gave the entire release shape.
Well, let's talk about the video for Beyond the Rain, because the video is straight Wizard of Oz. It's black and white as you have a Dorothy moment in bed. You're singing about twisters and cyclones, and it works at that basic level. The song works at that level. Oh, it's, tornadoes and cyclones, but it's actually heavier than what it might sound like to a casual ear. You survived a tornado in Nashville.
Yes.
This is literal. Like you lived through this stuff.
Yeah. And just, I mean, 2020 was so insane for all of us. And for me, it started for like when this tornado hit and 2 trees fell above my bedroom while I was sleeping.
Oh my God.
And it was like March 2nd of 2020. And it's funny, I'm from Illinois, like grew up in Chicago or outside of Chicago. And there's been tornado watches like every year my whole life, but we never really get like slammed with a tornado. So that night I heard the sirens, but I was trying to sleep. Like I was being silly, but I just like wasn't worried about the sirens. And then like I heard a huge crash above me, and like my whole house started shaking. And I had like a tiny little house, and like the whole entire house was shaking. The windows were rattling. It sounded like there was a freight train outside, and I was by myself. And I really thought I was going to be Dorothy and like fly away with that tornado. So I was displaced for 2 weeks. I got in on a Friday and the world shut down on Sunday. And it was just so, it was just so insane. It was just like, it felt like an out of body experience to have all these like crazy things happening. And so I literally in April, when the world was shut down, I bought Wizard of Oz on Amazon Prime, and I watched the first 10 minutes. And Dorothy is talking to Auntie M, and she's like causing trouble or something. And Auntie M is like, Dorothy, go away, go busy yourself. And Dorothy's like, well, where do you want me to go? And she's like, I want you to go somewhere where there isn't any trouble. And Dorothy goes, somewhere where there isn't any trouble. Behind the moon, beyond the rain, can't go by boat or by a train. And then she starts singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And so I took some Wizard of Oz lines there.
I love that. Well, the song itself, the chorus of Beyond the Rain, it's kind of dreamy. I feel like you do some vocal calisthenics on that one. You really give yourself a workout with that song.
I do. Yeah. Thank you for noticing. For like nerdy singers, like I start in the chest voice and then I like flip up to the head voice, and it's kind of, I feel all over the place when I'm singing it. And it does kind of feel like chaotic and tornado-like, actually, how I sing it.
I love it. Other videos you've done, you did, it was a couple months ago, you did Outsmart Love. And here's, I mentioned during the intro, there's a nice blend of Americana and pop. I mean, I hear a banjo in the mix on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have to go to Nashville to kind of fully discover who you were as a musician? And
I think the one reason I went to Nashville is because I'm interested in like songwriting. Like I love doing the artist thing, the Bronte Fall thing, but I'd love to write for other artists. And my ideal world would be to do both. But I visited Nashville after my first album, which I did in Chicago. And it was just really cool to hear. I discovered that it wasn't just country music. There was obviously a huge Americana scene, and then this like indie pop thing. And I was just like so drawn to like this cool fusion that was happening on the east side of Nashville. East Nashville is kind of like the more indie, has the more indie scene than like the commercial country. But yeah, I was really drawn to that, the blending of all the different genres.
Well, I get it. I've only been in Nashville once, and it was probably 5 or 6 years ago. And I was taken by how everything seemed to be in the process of getting built up. Like there was construction everywhere. It seemed like everywhere you look, the city was just growing, and there were cool places to go. Obviously, I had great food. People were super friendly. Music is everywhere. Like I get the appeal. I get the siren song of going to Nashville.
Yeah. Yes. It just helped. It's funny because I get paid more when I'm here and I play bigger shows when I'm here. But there's just so many guitar, like even when I need players, like if I need a guitarist, like for a gig in 2 days, I can get one. It's just you just like have everything at your fingertips. And I have more of a, because I now have a band in Nashville and a band in Chicago. But my Chicago band, I really like, I stick with the same guys. You mentioned Colin Peterick. So Colin was my music director when I was in Chicago. So like we have the same drummer tomorrow night, Alex. So we like my Chicago band is like my band that I always play with, which is great.
I love that. Another video that you did for this release, you mentioned your Illinois roots, a song called Indiana.
Yeah.
Are you from Indiana specifically, or?
I am not. I am from Illinois. I just was inspired when I was in Indiana to write that song.
It's just the nostalgia for youth. I want to grow young again. I want to have fun again. The video, I mean, the video kind of writes itself. It drives the lyrics home. There, you got floppy disks and pinball. I love pinball.
Yeah, right.
You know what's great about pinball? You feel like you're doing something substantive because it's physical.
Yeah.
You're moving with the game. You feel like you really got your dollar's worth.
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally. And that where we were filmed that, it's actually a Chicago, like it's like a vintage what are they called? Arcade.
Like a barcade, yeah.
Yeah, a barcade. It's called HQ headquarters, and there's one in Chicago, and they had just opened it in Nashville. So we filmed there.
So would you trade it all to go back in time and live your younger life again?
I mean, sometimes that song is funny because, well, and it's funny because I wasn't like, I was a kid in the 90s. And so it was really fun to make that video. Sorry, I don't even know if I'm going to answer your question in a second, but that video was really fun to make because I worked with the same girl, Kelsey Kopecky, and we wanted to dress 90s, but we didn't want to dress like 10-year-old 90s. We wanted to dress like Nirvana 90s. So that was pretty fun. But the sentiment in that song was, I feel like when you're little, you just like want to grow up. You think it would be so cool to be grown up. And then suddenly I'm a grown up. Like, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm in my 30s. Like, how did that happen? I'm an adult now. And it just, adulthood in 2020 specifically was just like really tough. Like the pandemic, my career shutting down, went through a breakup. My dad is battling cancer. It was just like so many things. And it was just, I think in 2020, I was really dying for the 90s and childhood because it just was easier.
Right. You didn't have to take care of everything.
Yes.
Uncomfortable stuff was handled for you. I get that.
Totally. So, but yeah, the chorus, love is too hard, life is too short, people change, leave me in the dust in Indiana. I was just thinking of, like being in a relationship is too hard. My dad being sick, like just so many things going on that makes adulthood hard.
So again, if you're watching the video and you're just checking in, Bronte Fall at the Hideout on the 26th, along with Colin Peterick. The new release from Bronte Fall comes out on March 4th. That is called Winter. And we don't have videos for these songs yet, but I want to talk about them. Burning Out, the idea of the Hollywood romance fizzling out. Shooting stars aren't meant to last forever. They melt away to ash and cinder. Is that specific to the relationship you just talked about?
Yes. Yeah. And I wrote that with one of my friends, and The Hollywood thing just kind of happened because I did love the idea of like a shooting star, like where it's like so good and then it like eventually like they die, like shooting stars actually die. But one of us came up with this line, uh, then all the you used to take me higher than all the stars in Hollywood. And then we're just like, we just ran with the Hollywood thing.
I love it. Now, I feel like you figured a few things out along the way. Every damn time is this self-actualized moment on the
Yeah.
release. Don't make me lose myself for you. I'm going to choose myself over you every time.
Yes. And I think that's that song. I feel like I hope everyone can relate to that. Like that was July of 2020. I wrote that 4th of July weekend at my grandpa's house. And I wrote down everything I wanted out of my relationship that I wasn't getting. And like that became all the verses. And I feel like it's just being respectful in a relationship. And I hope everybody gets that treatment I was asking for in the song. And you shouldn't ever lose, I learned you should never lose yourself in a relationship and not feel like yourself anymore. And so yeah, I do feel like that. And nobody's heard that song yet because it hasn't been released as a single.
Right.
And I'm so excited for people to hear that song and hear what it makes them feel.
So I didn't realize how long ago these songs were written. These were written at this point almost 2 years ago. I've got to assume you've got a bank of songs you're just sitting on at this point.
I can't wait to record again. Yeah, like these were all songs I wrote in 2020. And finished by March of 2021. But I wanted to release it in winter because it's called Winter. So I took the summer to make all the music videos and then started releasing in the fall.
Mhm.
And I took a break over Christmas because I just wanted to not, it's Christmas time. But yeah, it's like what was tricky about this release is like you can't release an album called Winter in the summer or
Right.
in the, it has to be released in winter. So
Yeah, the clock's ticking. Let's
yeah,
get that out.
so I just had to like make sure like the singles came out in the fall, but like Winter was going to drop in the winter. It's like, yeah.
So, okay, that comes out. Winter comes out on the 4th. We can see you in person, full band at the Hideout on the 26th. All the stuff you've been through, all the stuff we've collectively been through in the rear view. Blue skies ahead for you.
Totally. And the whole reason I wanted to call it Winter was Bronte Fall is a poem by Emily Bronte about embracing the darker seasons of our lives and finding the beauty and finding the silver linings. And that's what I wanted to do with 2020. I wanted to find the beauty and the silver linings and do what I make art. And that's what for me art is for, is, writing through your pain, making art out of difficult times. So